Mike and I guess Weber and Pekka getting the opportunities they have, and I guess where are you guys at in terms of finding your next assistant coaches?
Well, first of all, I'm absolutely thrilled. That's part of my job is to develop players for the National Hockey League for the Buffalo Sabres, but also develop our staff so they can chase their dreams as well. So I'll be friends and brothers with those two the rest of my life. That's one of the best coaching staffs in terms of work, but also character and camaraderie that I've been fortunate to be part of. Those guys are awesome. Just incredibly happy for them. And then on our search, we're narrowing in, and we're almost there on it. And I think that in the next week or so, we'll have both of our guys in place.
When you're looking for an assistant, what kind of things are you looking for in that guy?
That's a good question. Certainly experience. Now, so what does experience mean? With Michael Pekka and Mike Weber, it meant more as players than in coaching, and that was fine. I don't need 20 years of coaching, but experience, different experience than I have, and some of that might be as a playing. I didn't play in pro, and I don't pretend that I played in pro. I have a lot of experience coaching, but with Pex and Webby, when it came to situations about playing a 3-3, playing injured, Syracuse putting Labrie in the lineup in the playoffs, like how to handle those things. They've lived those moments. I haven't. And I think it's better for those guys to address those things. So certainly that enters into it. But I think for me, I'm a people-oriented, relationship-oriented person. So my interviews are probably different than a lot of other people's. I'm not asking them to present power plays or hockey concepts to me. We're going to talk as human beings. I'm going to make sure it's someone that fits our culture of our organization that's set by Kevin. That fits with what we're trying to build in Rochester, but then also is a great role model for our prospects. Whether that's his playing career, his coaching experience, or their who they are as a human being, because we need to have great role models for our prospects.
How did you come up with the guest coaches? Because I know you always rely on your staff to help out, and with the ECHL staff, but you don't have that now. So how did you come together to get Shelley and Chelsea and everybody in here?
So there's an initiative through the NHL Coach Association to increase the diversity of the National Hockey League and experiences. So whether that's people of color, whether that's females, and so that has been an initiative that we've embraced fully. And obviously that starts with Kevin at the top. And so the development staff worked in kind of with the NHL Coach Association to put us in touch with good candidates. And Troy Thibodeau is an excellent young coach out of Dartmouth. Shelley played for the U.S. national team. That's an elite player. It's on the female side. What's the difference? She's still a national team player. And then Chelsea Colgate is earned their way into being one of the dominant female programs in women's college hockey at a program that's not. It's not easy to win there. You're not set up for easy success. So she's obviously done an excellent job. They've been a blast to hang out with the last couple of days, talk hockey with, and they'll be a great addition to our staff this week.
Seth, I know you're obviously looking at everybody, and I know you probably look at the guys you probably are going to have come the fall. And one guy that jumps out now is Ryan Johnson's actually in this organization. He doesn't have to answer that question anymore. What did you see like the week or so you had him? And what are you just trying to see from him as he gets through his summer and gets ready for the fall?
I probably would like to have him 6 weeks earlier. He could have probably helped. Ryan, first of all, he's just a really, really high quality human being, strong character, comes from a great family, hockey family. And now he has 4 years of college experience under his belt, one of the best programs in the country, with a great coaching staff. And there's a reason he was picked in the first round. He has first round athleticism and explosiveness, and you don't find a lot of defensemen that can skate and defend the way that he can. So it is interesting to see, not being with the organization when he was picked, but being at his the first development camp I had with him last year, you could feel a tenseness. There's pressure on answering those questions. Are you going to be with this organization? Are you going to sign? And the uncertainty of all that, uncertainty can make you anxious as a person, as a player. And usually players that play or feel that anxiety can't truly show themselves, who they are as people, who they are as hockey players. And there's a lightness to him right now that you can feel that there's a weight off of his shoulders. He feels good with his decision, and he's excited to be here. So, and we're obviously very excited to have him.
What ways in this week can you start to build a relationship and trust with Novikov and Neuchev now that they're here and you know that you're going to be coaching them this season?
Yeah, it's exciting to see him here and to have those guys here. Sitting with them and talking with them this morning, introducing them to Mr. Pagula and making sure they understood that's the owner, right? But it's going to be very, very helpful to have Kisa. Just like it was helpful for Kulik last year to have Rusek as a big brother. What Kisa's experienced, what he's gone through, and knowing the language better. It's already, I was already asking Kisa some questions where I was talking. I wanted to explain something to Victor on the ice today. I brought Kisa over to make sure that I understood what was the translation, and so that's just going to make it easier. But they're both incredibly talented. We're excited to have them both, and it's fun to be on the ice with them right now.
So you noticed the change in Kisakov at all with having those guys around, just maybe more of his personality coming up?
Yeah, he gets to be a little more himself, and so that's going to be helpful for him to, and we'll see that more as time plays out. It's probably hard to see it right away, but it is always interesting seeing a guy like Kisakov who's been with us for a year and went through the ups and downs of a hard rookie season in the American League. And then they come back and they're walking with a little more confidence and they have a little more strut in their step and the shoulders are backing up and he looks like one of the best players on the ice. And that's a great thing and it's a great sign. And it also for him is, I'm sure it's kind of confirming how much better he got this year and how he feels out there right now versus some of the younger prospects. So, we got a ton of belief in Kisa, and we fully expect him to have a really, really big year for us in Rochester.
Did you watch all that Calder Cup? None of it. What was your reaction to it?
I watched enough to be annoyed. I talked to Todd Nelson at the draft. Obviously congratulated them, and I think there's a feeling sometimes that they won the Calder Cup and we played probably dead even with them. I wouldn't ever say we outplayed them. It was a heck of a series. At the same time, you're frustrated that they won the Calder Cup and you're probably dead even with them. So I think when you step back and look big picture with where we were and how young we were in October, November, December, to how far we got, it was an excellent year. But the competitor in you is still a little bit ticked off that maybe you left something on the table.
You get to see the on-ice, what's happening during this camp. How important is off-ice things? Maybe whether it's developing relationships with guys who don't know each other, whatever it might be, how important is that in this camp?
I think that's more important than the on-ice. The on-ice is a little introduction to how we want to play, who we are, a little introduction from themselves to the fans and to the media. Giving them maybe one or two or three little nuggets of information that maybe they can take home and use to make themselves a better player. But the off-ice, those relationships, the culture that we want to stand for in our organization and that Kevin stands for right on through, that's critical because those are things that a true organization is built upon. It's not just talent. It's having the right people, people that want to be here. It's having the culture and being proud to be Sabres. It's having that culture in Rochester. And you don't create that without relationships. And in that relationships, as we all know, they take time because the first thing we have to do is we have to earn the players' trust. And once we earn their trust, then we can really coach them. Until we earn their trust, it's a lot harder to coach them.
What is it like building on that with someone like Gavin, who has been a fan of this team, who knows a lot of people in the organization, and is obviously going to Boston in the fall? But what is it like kind of opening those doors to him?
Yeah, I joked around with him on the ice. I said, "How many of these people are for you?" And we were laughing about it. But what a neat thing for him and his family to be a hometown kid and have played for the Junior Sabres and to be drafted here to get to experience this. And I know his family pretty well. His brother Case was at the national program when I was there, and it's just a high quality character family. We're really fortunate to have him part of the organization, and it's going to be a pretty cool experience for him this week.
Devin Cooley's a goalie, will probably be with you this season at some point. Just what do you know about him? It seems like he's come out of his career. He earned another two-way deal. Just what do you know about him?
Well, Devin Cooley is a guy that I know that we've liked, from our management and pro scouting staff for some time. Goalies have their own timeline, and it's usually not pretty quick. And he's a guy that had a up and down college career and has really had to grind and dig to become a high-end American League goalie. They had Connor Ingram 2 years ago, and he ended up starting in the playoffs over Connor Ingram. They had Askarov, who's high first-round pick for a goalie. He ended up starting over Askarov in the playoffs. Those are not decisions that are made easily or lightly in an organization to not have your starting goalie, your big prospect goalie, playing in the playoffs. And so for him to have earned that speaks a lot about the quality of goaltender he is, but also what he is about as a competitor. And, talking to players that I'm familiar with in their organization, people rave about him as a teammate and the work ethic. So we're excited to have him part of our organization.
There's been a lot of attention because of Pekka and Weber and NHL jobs, and a lot of coaches have graduated even this year. You spent a lot of time in college hockey. Where do you think you are in your development with this organization? Where you might go to?
I think I'm the head coach of the Rochester Americans. That's just how I've always looked at it. I love working for the Buffalo Sabres, and I love coaching in Rochester. So I put a high value on who I work for and with, and to get to work for Kevin Adams and Jason Carmanos, who they are as people, who they are as hockey men, the kind of family men they are. That isn't taken lightly by me. I'm not someone that thinks the grass is always greener. So in my career, I've never had a 5-year plan. I've never chased jobs. I've always just tried to be as good as I can be and try to be the best coach I can be for my players wherever I am. When I was an assistant at Denver, that was focused on being a great recruiter and a great assistant coach. And when I got to RPI, the same thing. When I got to USA, the same thing. And that's my focus here. So my sole focus is on helping the Buffalo Sabres chase the Stanley Cup and helping us in Rochester develop prospects for the Buffalo Sabres while also trying to win in Rochester. I believe that if I do a good enough job of that, the rest will take care of itself.
What did you know about Zach Benson before you guys picked him, and what's your early impression of him on the ice?
Well, what I knew about him is that he's incredibly intelligent and really easy to play with and hard to play against. And those are great combinations when opponents say you're hard to play against because he's so hard on the puck and he's great at stripping pucks and hunting pucks. But then he's great to play with because talented teammates and line mates like we know in our organization, Savoy and Krebs rave about playing with him because he's so intelligent and he can make plays with elite players and he has that vision and that creativity of an elite offensive player. So not all elite offensive players are hard to play against. And the fact that he has both of those abilities is pretty unique.
You were a very young team at this time a year ago as you were, looking forward to the fall. You'll still be pretty young potentially, but with a lot more experience. How do you feel about what your team might look like this fall right now?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We're going to be really young again, maybe younger, but yes, more experienced. There's a likelihood that we'll probably have 10, 11 forwards that are, under the age of 25, probably 7 or 8 under the age of 21. So that's young. We'll have 2 young defensemen, likely, depending on how training camp goes with Novikov and Johnson. But we have a tremendous amount of talent at all three positions. We are a little more experienced in an important position in goal, which is always a good position to have experience in, and to not be dramatically young. So, I have just utmost confidence in Kevin, Jason, Jeremiah Crow, our scouting staff, and putting a really, really competitive roster together. And then making sure that we surround Michael Mersch and Ethan Prow with what we classify as culture drivers. Very good AHL players that help us win, but more importantly, are the role models and the teachers that we want to have around our young prospects.
Seems to be a very heady guy from what we talked to him. What are your impressions of him? What makes him fit in with this group?
Well, that's not a goalie-friendly practice, so you're never going to evaluate on that type of a skill practice, right, in the middle of the summer. So, but from what our staff thinks of him, real athletic, real competitive, and so when you're a young goaltender and you have the traits of athleticism and competitiveness, and pretty solid size, it's a really good place to start. And as we all know, with 18-year-old goaltenders, it's the start of a long journey, and that's okay.
You touched on the off-ice stuff a little bit. What do you think someone like Noah, obviously not skating this week, what do you think he can take away from a week like this, trying to take that next step?
Just continue to fully immerse himself in what it means to be a Sabre, and just getting to know the staff members further, both in Rochester and in Buffalo, getting to know especially some of those other elite top prospects, because those are the relationships that you'll have and the friends that you have as you grow up in this organization, right? So Noah's a really talented young man, and a great kid that we're excited to have. He's not on the ice this week, but that doesn't mean that we're not extremely excited to have him part of our organization. Good. Thank you.